Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. I thought I would do my wrap up of October. It is actually not the end of October yet, but I don't foresee me finishing any of the books I'm in the middle of right now before the end of the month. If I do, I'll tack them on to November. So it was a crazy month. Apparently I needed to disassociate from reality for the month because I read 19 books. 19 books, and I'm in the middle of several right now. I read 19 books, a lot of them YA, a lot of them not the best quality writing. like this isn't it was enjoyable, it was good, they were good books, but they weren't like great classics. It was YA, it was popular fiction, science fiction and dystopian fiction, and it was the stuff I use when I want to kind of numb myself to all the other crazy going around. So, take that with a grain of salt. But let's dive in. So this month I read the first two books in the Hunger Games. This is a reread. I really enjoy it. You see a lot more. I really don't enjoy Katniss this time around. So usually I'm like, yeah, I love it. Katniss is really annoying me this time around. So we'll see how it goes through Mockingjay, because sometimes her inner monologue is just annoying. But yeah, I do enjoy this story. I do love Suzanne Collins and her writing and all of that. I love seeing, the interactions and things like that. I don't know, making the comparisons to today's world, and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that you could comment on it, and so many other people do it so much more eloquently than me that I'm not going to do that, but I'm enjoying my reread through the series. Then I read a YA sci-fi from Enclave Publishing called Echo Nova by Clint Hall. I've been reading a lot of the Enclave publishing books. I've just really enjoyed them. And so I read that one, and it was a weird one, but it was enjoyable. Some parts were annoying and not great, but yeah. In Echo Nova, you have a boy who, and I can't even remember names because, like, I just was a glutton for books. But he can, in his time in the future from where we are now, the world is slightly different, kind of scummy. A lot of scams being run, but people can travel through time, and they show it on reality TV, and they're called time stars, and that's his goal in life, is to become a time star. He becomes a time star and realizes it's not all it's cracked up to be. And it had a really powerful ending that was really well thought out, really well written. I really enjoyed how it ended, because I was getting a little worried halfway through. But it was phenomenal in the ending. Some of the other parts I feel like could have been worked out a little better. It reads like a debut novel, and I don't know if that is the case. If it is, then Clint Hall's just only going to go up from there, because that was really good. But there were some parts that were not well thought out. Then I read Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson and went down this rabbit trail that will never end, because the Cosmere is insane. But I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And then when they started going to balls, I thought, oh dear, what is going on? Someone had told me it was sci-fi. This is fantasy. This isn't sci-fi. That said, the magic system, the world building, phenomenal. I gotta think of a different word. But so they can use metal. Certain people have allomancy magic, and they can use metals by ingesting them and then burning them consciously in their body, to do different things with metal. Some push metal away, some pull metal to, some allow you to do just all kinds of different things. And you follow multiple characters in here. The seedy origins. They're thieving crews, and these thieving crews all come together to try to take over the kingdom. Yeah, there's so much going on. It's a thick book. The words are teeny tiny. There's a lot going on in here, and you have a lot of crazy characters that are just hilarious. Over on Instagram, The Lost Book of Jess she cracks me up with her commentary on it. But yeah, I absolutely love it. You follow Vin, who is, one of the main characters, and she's part of the thieving crew for all of her life, basically, but doesn't know how to trust people, and just seeing how she evolves through the story is wonderful. You have Kelsier, the grand master of it all, and yeah, he's hilarious. And then you have all these other different characters and their nuances, and I love every bit of it, but it is a lot. There is a lot going on in this book. And so you follow these thieves as they try to join the rebel cause and help them take down Lord Ruler, who we get a little insight into. Brandon Sanderson, actually did make me feel for the villain in this book, which is always a shock because I don't really want to like the villains, but you can kind of see a little bit of his origin story. So there's that. That was very good. And then I did another sci-fi deep dive, which not good. So I did Red Rising. Red Rising was very good, very violent, very brutal. Some sexual things in it that I didn't really love, but the story behind it was so amazing that I continued the saga and I read the first 3 books in this. I don't recommend it unless you can somehow get like a non-vulgar copy, because the swearing isn't horrible, but it's there and it gets increasingly with each one. And then also the just vulgarity of how they talk and sexual comments and things like that. So it's not spicy like a romance novel spicy, but like whoa, way beyond my comfort zone. But the storyline, if you can somebody get me a copy and black out all those parts so I could read the rest of the story, because it's phenomenal. In this first one, you have a very Hunger Games-ish, but with a mythology twist, and you follow a young man who comes up from the bottom to try to take over and infiltrate the people who are in charge. And it's all like a color system. When I first started reading, I was like, did somebody read Color Wars and go a little off the wall with it? But so the society is organized by colors. I don't know, does it have it in here? I don't think it has. No, it doesn't have the color system in here. But it takes place on Mars, and he infiltrates the Golds, and he gets into their university, their higher up thing, which basically turns out to be a Hunger Games situation where it's kill or be killed, and only those who triumph at the end and have all of is in charge of everybody else, that's how you win, kind of thing. And it has a very mythological stance, so they're all divided into houses of these Greek gods, and they represent them, and there's a lot of violence, a lot of violence. But the storyline, as the main character Darrow tries to rise up through the ranks and take power, is just so phenomenal, and the emotional twist on him and the thought behind him is just amazing. And so I read the other 2 books, but again, I don't recommend them because too much vulgarity. Also, it's very violent. The violence actually doesn't bother me that much. It's not my favorite, but it is very, very violent. And so Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star all follow the story. So after this one, in Golden Sun and Morning Star, you follow as they leave the school. Golden Sun was like, okay, I can't read anymore because it's so vulgar. But it ended on such a big cliffhanger, I had to read the 3rd one. And that had a decent ending so that you can stop the series after the 3rd one. But you follow them after they leave the school, and you follow Darrow and Golden Sun as he tries to find power and things. And it ends in a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching ending that is a cliffhanger. So Morning Star picks up where that is, and you take off. And the whole time, the basic gist is you're following the rebels, and you're following it from Darrow's point of view, and you realize how he is how he's being manipulated, and he finds out how he's being manipulated, and he then tries to turn the tables over and over. He talks about changing the paradigm, and it's just, there's a lot of commentary on classism, a lot of commentary on political world, and how it really hasn't changed much since the senatorial days of ancient Rome. And so, yeah, it's just a different take on it. But again, very vulgar. Don't recommend for that part. Give me a PG version and we will be great. Then I read a couple of YA books by Lewis Lowry. I read Tree Table Book, which I don't have. They were library books. Tree Table Book by Lewis Lowry is a very early grade, polar opposite of what I just said. Okay, this is the sweetest, innocent little book. of a young girl who is best friends with her neighbor who is developing dementia, and she is afraid that her friend is going to be taken away from her. And so she discovers some like little mind tests to do to see if she actually has dementia, because she doesn't believe it and is wanting to prove the family wrong, that she doesn't need to go into a home or be taken away or anything. And through it, she learns some heartbreaking truths about her neighbor who lived during the Holocaust and what life was like there. And very gentle, nothing gruesome, nothing graphic, just kind of plays on your heart. And would be a really good introductory novel to something in historical fiction, to introducing a young child into World War II kind of things that happened to Jewish people. And yeah, it was very sweet, very beautiful. Then I read by Lois Lowry, like another opposite. It's called the Windabeat Puzzle. And then I picked it up because, again, Libby was out of what I wanted. And so I just picked it up on a whim. And listen to it. And this is a unique book. So it's very short. And Lois Lowry is talking to you as a reader, breaking that fourth wall. She is telling you about her writing process. Okay. So it reads like a nonfiction book at first. And she tells you all about how she comes up with stories. And she talks about how there was this archaeological dig and they dug up a body. And then she makes up a story for that body. Well, then she says, well, then I found out years later that it wasn't actually a girl, it was a boy. And so then she rewrote her story to fit that narrative. And so it was just kind of neat, because then she comes back and tells you about her writing process and things at the end. Very good introduction to creative writing, I thought, for young children. And for adults, it was very, very good. And then I went down and finished the Lunar Chronicles with Winter, and that was an enjoyable audiobook. I think I did audiobook. I might have read physical book too. The Lunar Chronicles I went back and forth on, and I finished it. It was good. Not as good as the other ones. It was good. I did not read the last book, Stars Above, which is like little stories. I read the one story of the wedding in it, and that was it. But Winter follows the story of the Lunar Chronicles as the rebels try to take over Luna, the moon, from Celeste, the evil empress. And it took a lot of twists that I wasn't expecting, and I did enjoy that. But yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed the Lunar Chronicles and Winter, because you get a little bit more from Winter's perspective. But Winter is just strange because she's like supposed to be Snow White, but she is clearly, her mind has been messed with, and because of that, yeah, there's a lot of kind of weird things, because this is a sci-fi dystopian and a middle grade YA novel. And everything's all clean and above. There is romance because they're fairy tale rewritings. But nothing that would be gruesome for, kids who are still kind of icky about romance and love and relationships. But you follow the different characters, because you've got Cinder and the Emperor Kaido, who are the Cinderella story that it started with, and their different parts in the rebellion. And then you have Scarlet and Wolf and the things that have happened to them that have just, their story is like Scarlet was traumatic, and then their story just continues to be traumatic throughout. So you do want to go to Stars Above and read that short story, because that did help kind of feel better about their life. And then you have Cress and what's his name, Carson, and the Rapunzel story, which is very much Disney's Tangled related, and that was great. And then you have Winter and Jason, who is Snow White and the Huntsman, and it's good, but it is a weird twist on it. And yeah, there's just a lot of different nuances. Winter is a little saccharine and annoying, in my opinion, but so is Snow White, and so that plays well. And just a good ending. And so it points out the joke of, teenagers trying to be in charge of things, and it does deal with that well. And then I went down another YA rabbit hole that I did not love. But the series Selection, and then Elite, and The One are 3 books. It's a trilogy, and it was one that I wanted to know what happened, because I felt like it was going to lead somewhere, and it never did. It's basically Bachelor or Bachelorette or whatever you want to call it for kids, because all these girls are rounded up and then they live with the prince, and he's supposed to choose one, and he takes them on dates. And it was awful in that respect. Like the moral of teaching young girls that this is romance and all the love, and it was terrible. It was terrible. And I kept thinking it was going to flip the story and like give you some actual hope, and it never did. I listened to all 3 books, was like just wanting more. And you have a rebellion and other things going on. Just ignored that too. Nothing really came of that. The story for love was horrible. It's just like, I don't know. It wasn't true love, okay? That is not that. I worry for this author that she thinks that this is a love story. And then I read Mortal Queens and Lethal Kings by Victoria McCrum, and I did that on ebook, and those were good. They're my first like fairy stories in a long time. I don't do fairy stories. I liked them, but there were parts that seemed rushed in both stories. As you watch, there's the fairy realm and the earth realm, and the women, every year they come and get a new young woman from the mortal realm because the fairy realm needs a mortal queen, or the fairy kingdom will die. They find out that the mortal queens are also dying after 2 years of being mortal queen, and then they're trying to stop that. And you have a lot of things going on. And like I said, I love the characters. I loved all that's going on. Thea is a great character trying to fight to save not just herself, but all of the mortal queens to come. And you have some nuances and things that are discovered throughout that were very predictable, but it was still enjoyable. But again, there were certain portions that I felt were very rushed in that. And then I did read, I finished Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which I really love. I'm trying to work through Narnia this year. I don't really know. If you don't know, Lucy and Edmund and their cousin Eustace are dragged into a painting one summer and end up on a ship with Caspian, who's trying to find all his lords who disappeared when his father was removed from the throne. And adventures ensue. And yeah, I'm not going to say much more. There's a movie if you haven't read it yet, and you probably don't want to. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites because of the story of Eustace and how it shows the forgiveness and redemption when you repent for bad behavior. I also listened to Thursday Murder Club, which is being made into a TV show, and I could picture the characters. I don't have Netflix, so I can't watch the movie or show or whatever it is, but I could picture those particular characters as them as I listened to the audiobook version of it. It was phenomenal. I really loved it. It was laugh out loud hilarious, great mystery of these retirees in a retirement village in England as they try to solve some murders. So it was great. They were very witty writing, from the way the women and the men talk to each other and just interact, how they interact with the police. And it was great. It was hilarious, fun, and you solve a murder at the end. And then I listened to Arsenic and Old Lace, which I love the Cary Grant. Can't go wrong with that. And the play was just as fun to listen to, about an hour and a half to listen to on double speed, which you kind of need to do. But it was really phenomenal. The narrator was terrible on the audiobook on Libby, whatever I had. But it was a great book because that play is hilarious. If you don't know, there's these two old aunts who are trying to help the poor unfortunate souls. So they invite them to tea, they poison them and put them out of their misery, and then have their son or nephew, who is not all there in the head, buries them in the basement. And one of their other nephews comes home and figures it out. Another nephew visits home who is a noted villain and who's on the loose. And yeah, just hijinks, hilarious. You got to see the movie, but reading the play was great too. And then I ended the month with Drake Hall, which is the second book in the Secrets of Wormdale series, and I just love it so much. You follow Edith as she starts to fall into her role in Wormwood Abbey as a dragon keeper and learning about the area, learning about the dragons and life. It's sweet, it's innocent, it is everything I needed after some of the junk books I read this month. And it ended on a cliffhanger, so I'm excited to read the next book in the series. But yeah, this is a sweet, innocent story of a family who happened to be dragon keepers in Yorkshire, England. So anyways, that's what I read this month. If you made it to the end of this video, which hopefully wasn't too long, but yeah, it was kind of long. It was a lot of books. Please drop a dragon emoji or reptile emoji of some sort below. Thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day.